If you are experiencing exorbitant kilowatt readings after completing electrical wiring, here are some troubleshooting tips to consider. Firstly, check your wiring meticulously. Ensure all wires are properly connected and there are no loose or damaged wires. A visual inspection is critical, looking for any signs of wear, improper connections, or insulation damage. Secondly, check your appliances systematically. Unplug all appliances and then plug them back in one at a time. Monitor your kilowatt readings as you plug each appliance back in to see if the problem appears when you plug in a particular appliance. If so, it is the source of the high kilowatt readings. Thirdly, examine your circuit breaker panel. Check if any of the circuit breakers have tripped. A trip breaker indicates an overload or short circuit on that particular circuit. If you find a trip breaker, reset it and monitor the situation closely. If it trips again immediately, there is likely a persistent problem on that circuit that requires further investigation. If, after trying these steps, the problem persists, you should consult a qualified electrician to help you troubleshoot the issue. This is especially important if you are uncomfortable working with electricity or if you suspect a more complex problem. Once you have identified the problem, you can take steps to fix it. This may involve repairing or replacing faulty wiring, replacing an inefficient appliance, or correcting an overload on a circuit. Here are some additional resources that you may find helpful. These resources provide additional information and guidance on troubleshooting electrical problems. Remember, safety is paramount when working with electricity. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical troubleshooting, always consult a qualified electrician. They have the expertise and equipment to diagnose and resolve electrical problems safely and effectively. When checking your wiring, look for common issues such as loose connections at outlets, switches, and light fixtures. These loose connections can create resistance, which generates heat and increases energy consumption. Ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Also, check for any signs of rodent damage to the wiring, as this can cause short circuits and other problems. When evaluating your appliances, consider their energy efficiency. Older appliances tend to be less efficient than newer models, so upgrading to energy-efficient appliances can significantly reduce your kilowatt consumption. Look for the Energy Star label when purchasing new appliances. Additionally, be mindful of phantom loads, which are the energy consumed by appliances even when they are turned off. Unplug appliances when they are not in use to eliminate these phantom loads. If you suspect a circuit overload, try to redistribute the electrical load by plugging appliances into different circuits. Avoid plugging too many high-power devices into the same circuit, as this can cause the breaker to trip. Consider installing additional circuits if necessary to accommodate your electrical needs. When resetting a circuit breaker, make sure to turn off any appliances that are connected to that circuit first. This will reduce the load on the circuit and prevent the breaker from tripping again immediately. If a breaker trips repeatedly, there may be a more serious underlying problem that requires professional attention. In addition to the above, it is important to understand the basics of electrical safety. Always turn off the power at the main breaker before working on any electrical circuits. Use insulated tools and wear appropriate safety gear, such as rubber gloves and safety glasses. Never work on electrical circuits when you are wet or standing in water. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical safety, consult a qualified electrician. Electrical problems can be complex and dangerous, so it is always best to err on the side of caution. By following these troubleshooting tips and taking appropriate safety precautions, you can effectively address high kilowatt readings and ensure the safety of your electrical system. Remember to consult a qualified electrician if you encounter any problems that you are unable to resolve yourself. Also, consider investing in a kilowatt meter to monitor your energy consumption and identify areas where you can save energy. A kilowatt meter can provide valuable insights into your energy usage patterns and help you make informed decisions about energy conservation. Furthermore, be aware of local electrical codes and regulations. These codes are in place to ensure the safety and proper functioning of electrical systems. Make sure that all electrical work is performed in accordance with these codes. When hiring an electrician, check their credentials and ensure that they are licensed and insured. A qualified electrician will have the knowledge and experience to handle your electrical problems safely and effectively. They can also provide valuable advice on energy efficiency and electrical system maintenance. In addition to troubleshooting electrical problems, it is also important to maintain your electrical system properly. Regularly inspect your wiring, outlets, and switches for any signs of damage or wear. Replace any damaged components promptly. Clean your circuit breaker panel periodically to remove dust and debris. Schedule regular electrical inspections to identify potential problems before they become major issues. By taking these preventative measures, you can ensure the safety and reliability of your electrical system. When troubleshooting electrical problems, it is also helpful to have a basic understanding of electrical theory. Understanding concepts such as voltage, amperage, and resistance can help you diagnose problems more effectively. Voltage is the electrical potential difference between 2 points in a circuit. It is the force that drives the flow of electricity. Amperage is the rate of flow of electrical current. It is a measure of the amount of electricity flowing through a circuit. Resistance is the opposition to the flow of electrical current. It is measured in ohms. The relationship between voltage, amperage, and resistance is described by Ohm's law, which states that voltage equals amperage times resistance. Understanding Ohm's law can help you calculate the voltage, amperage, or resistance in a circuit if you know the other two values. For example, if you know the voltage and resistance in a circuit, you can calculate the amperage using the formula amperage equals voltage divided by resistance. When troubleshooting electrical problems, it is also important to have the right tools. A multimeter is an essential tool for measuring voltage, amperage, and resistance. A circuit tester can be used to check for the presence of voltage in a circuit. A wire stripper is used to remove insulation from wires. A screwdriver is used to tighten and loosen screws. A pair of pliers is used to grip and bend wires. A flashlight is used to provide illumination in dark areas. When using electrical tools, always follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. Use insulated tools to prevent electric shock. Wear appropriate safety gear, such as rubber gloves and safety glasses. Never work on electrical circuits when you are wet or standing in water. In addition to the above, it is also important to be aware of common electrical hazards. Electric shock is a serious hazard that can cause injury or death. Never touch bare wires or electrical components. Avoid working on electrical circuits when you are tired or distracted. Fire is another common electrical hazard. Overloaded circuits of faulty wiring can cause fires. Make sure that your electrical system is properly installed and maintained to prevent fires. Carbon monoxide poisoning is another potential hazard associated with electrical appliances. Gas-powered appliances, such as water heaters and furnaces, can produce carbon monoxide, which is a deadly gas. Make sure that these appliances are properly vented and that you have a carbon monoxide detector installed in your home. By being aware of these common electrical hazards and taking appropriate safety precautions, you can protect yourself and your family from electrical injury or death. Remember, electricity is a powerful force that should be treated with respect. Always consult a qualified electrician if you are unsure about any aspect of electrical safety. When dealing with high kilowatt readings, consider that ground faults can also contribute significantly to increased energy consumption. A ground fault occurs when electricity unintentionally flows to ground through a path other than the intended circuit. This can be caused by damaged insulation, faulty wiring, or malfunctioning appliances. Ground faults can be difficult to detect, but they can waste a significant amount of energy and pose a safety hazard. One way to check for ground faults is to use a ground fault circuit interrupter (GFCI) outlet tester. This device can detect small ground faults and trip the circuit if a fault is detected. GFCI outlets are required in many areas for outlets located near water sources, such as bathrooms and kitchens. Another way to check for ground faults is to use a multimeter to measure the current flowing through the grounding wire. If there is any current flowing through the grounding wire, It indicates a ground fault. If you suspect a ground fault, consult a qualified electrician to diagnose and repair the problem. They can use specialized equipment to locate the source of the fault and correct it safely. In addition to ground faults, harmonics can also contribute to increased energy consumption and electrical problems. Harmonics are distortions in the electrical waveform that can be caused by nonlinear loads such as electronic devices and variable frequency drives. Harmonics can cause a variety of problems, including overheating of electrical equipment, increased energy consumption, and interference with electronic devices. One way to mitigate harmonics is to use harmonic filters. These devices are designed to remove harmonics from the electrical system. Harmonic filters are typically installed at the source of the harmonics, such as at the variable frequency drive. Another way to mitigate harmonics is to use power factor correction capacitors. These devices can improve the power factor of the electrical system, which can reduce the amount of current required to deliver the same amount of power. Power factor correction capacitors are typically installed at the main electrical panel. If you suspect that harmonics are causing problems in your electrical system, consult a qualified electrician or power quality specialist. They can perform a power quality audit to assess the level of harmonics and recommend appropriate solutions. In addition to the above, it is important to consider the impact of voltage fluctuations on your electrical system. Voltage fluctuations can be caused by a variety of factors, including changes in the load on the electrical grid and problems with the electrical distribution system. Voltage fluctuations can cause a variety of problems, including malfunctioning of electronic devices, reduced lifespan of electrical equipment, and increased energy consumption. One way to mitigate voltage fluctuations is to use a voltage regulator. A voltage regulator is a device that maintains a constant voltage output regardless of the input voltage. Voltage regulators are typically installed at the main electrical panel or at individual pieces of equipment. Another way to mitigate voltage fluctuations is to use a surge protector. A surge protector is a device that protects electrical equipment from voltage surges. Voltage surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, and other events. Surge protectors are typically installed at the main electrical panel or at individual outlets. If you are experiencing problems with voltage fluctuations, consult a qualified electrician to assess the problem and recommend appropriate solutions. They can also advise you on the best type of voltage regulator or surge protector for your needs. Finally, remember that electrical codes and regulations vary from location to location. It is important to be familiar with the electrical codes and regulations that apply to your area. These codes and regulations are in place to ensure the safety and proper functioning of electrical systems. Consult your local building department or a qualified electrician to learn more about the electrical codes and regulations in your area. By following these troubleshooting tips and taking appropriate safety precautions, you can effectively address high kilowatt readings and ensure the safety and reliability of your electrical system. Remember to consult a qualified electrician if you encounter any problems that you are unable to resolve yourself.